JBNN will keep you informed. I'm Michelle Jones, and I start with a news update. Man charged with killing brother in Manchester. A Manchester man has been charged for the murder of his mother, who was visiting the island from England just a week ago in the Miketown community in the parish. The police say 38-year-old carpenter Lamont Brown of Love Lane in Miketown was charged on Thursday with the murder of 48-year-old Michael Brown, otherwise called Jimmy. Reports from the Mandeville police are that about 12:20 a.m. on January 19, the deceased was at home when he was pounced upon by a lone gunman who opened gunfire, hitting him in the upper body. The police were summoned and was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. The deceased is said to have been in Jamaica for his mother's funeral. The police have revealed that other persons of interest are expected to be brought in for questioning as the matter progresses. Commander of the Manchester Police, Superintendent Shane McCullough, recently told the media that the murder stemmed from a family dispute over lands that dates back to 2015. FSC obtains court order to block windup of SSL. The Financial Services Commission, FSC, has obtained a court order to block the directors of Frauded Stocks and Securities Limited (SSL) from winding up the company or liquidating its assets. The injunction will remain in place until February 17, 2023. The FSC has taken control of SSL amid a probe into a massive fraud involving almost $3 billion. Minister of Finance, Dr. Nigel Clark, says the court action by the FSC was taken following an attempt made to undertake a member's voluntary winding up of Stocks and Securities Limited. SSL, Cadian Campbell, Hugh Croskery, Lawrence Adamson, and Peter Knibb are named as defendants in the matter. In a post on Twitter, Clark said, on or about the 16th of January, SSL applied to the company's office for a member's voluntary winding up. He noted that prior to this, the FSC had put the company under temporary management using its powers under the Act. Clark explained that the FSC went to court to prevent the company from going through the process of winding up itself to effect its temporary management. In a media release, Clark said the court order will stop SSL and its directors from 1. Disposing of, dealing with assets and liabilities in SSL's names or its clients' names, withdrawing, transferring or otherwise dissipating any funds from accounts in its name wherever held. 2. Interfering with the acts of servants or agents of the FSC and temporary manager, and to comply or otherwise cooperate with the directions of FSC and the temporary manager and any servant or agent of the temporary manager. 3. Winding up or dissolving the company and liquidating the assets of SSL. And finally, reorganizing the company or its operations, whether it be in any document, form, or organization of its members or the assets and liabilities. Education Minister condemns death threats against student by Newell High teacher. Minister of Education Favour Williams has condemned as unprofessional and inexcusable the conduct of a teacher at the Newell High School in St. Elizabeth who was seen in a video verbally assaulting, chasing, and threatening a student with death. Williams says the footage has been referred to the Office of the Children's Advocate and the Commissioner of Police for investigation. In a statement today, Williams said such behavior lowers the professionalism of the teaching sector. This normalizes violence in the minds of our students and does not provide the kind of role model that the society expects of our teachers, she said. Williams indicated that the school board chairman has called an emergency meeting for Friday to deal with the conduct of the teacher. I spoke with the chairman of the board of Newell High School, who is equally concerned by the verbal attack on the student and the death threats towards the student, Williams said. The education minister also said that such action on the part of a teacher must be condemned in the strongest way possible. Williams noted that it has been reported that this is not the first time that the teachers acted in a similar threatening manner towards students. This inexcusable act on the part of the teacher cannot be defended, she added. Williams said the students will be given counseling and psychotherapy to treat with the trauma caused by the verbal abuse and violent threat to which they were exposed. School should be a place where students feel protected and safe and trusting of the adults in charge of their well-being. She noted as well the need for psychotherapy sessions for the teacher. Protesters weld shut gates at NWC plants, supply disruption for Manchester and Clarendon communities. The National Water Commission (NWC) is reporting that normal operations at its facilities at the Board of Manchester and Clarendon have been impacted by a demonstration in the area. The NWC says the gates of the affected facilities, 2 meetings, and Moravia treatment plants were welded shut sometime between Wednesday night and early Thursday morning. As a result, The utility company says some team members were locked inside the facilities. However, the employee at the Moravia facility managed to leave the plant, it said. The NWC says no one has been able to gain access to the facilities. While the two meetings plant is still operational, the Moravia plant is out of service because the power supply panel that provides electricity for the facility was damaged by unknown persons, the NWC stated. It says the outage at the Moravia facility will result in water supply disruptions to several communities in Manchester and Clarendon. The affected areas include Colleyville, Succeed, Bryce, Dump, Dobson, Line of Parish, Silent Hill, Tiki-Taki, Christiana, Spaldings, Chudley, Malton, Devon, Farm, Richmond and Whiteshop. The NWC says it is monitoring the plants and is also working with the police and the Jamaica Fire Brigade. The Commission says that once advised that it is safe, its maintenance teams will access both facilities to carry out an assessment. Clarendon Labour charged after allegedly stabbing man during altercation. The Clarendon police have charged a man with wounding with intent after he allegedly stabbed another man during an altercation in Severn Ground district in the parish. Charges 40-year-old Ricardo Gordon, a labourer of the community. Reports are that about 3:30 p.m, Gordon and the man had an altercation, during which Gordon allegedly used a knife to stab the man. The police were alerted and the injured man was taken to hospital for treatment. Following an investigation into the incident, Gordon was arrested and charged after a question and answer session in the presence of his attorney. His court date has not been finalized. British man accused of murder to be extradited. A British man accused of murder who fled his country and was arrested on Wednesday at the Sangster International Airport in Jamaica is to be deported. The fugitive, Stasio Scott, is accused of choking a man to death and stuffing his body into a trash bin. Scott signed the consent form for his extradition and waived his right to an extradition hearing when he appeared in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court this morning. The 34-year-old reportedly fled his country 4 days after the November 2019 murder of 38-year-old Justin Bello. Bello was reportedly choked to death in Scott's flat in Stockwell, southwest London, and his body was placed in a suitcase and dumped in a bin shed in Wembley, northwest London. Bello's body was found 48 hours later by bin collectors when a foot was seen hanging out of a black suitcase on the ground. A woman said to be Scott's girlfriend reportedly gave a statement last December in which she stated that she had sent his children to Jamaica to visit him. Meanwhile, last December, the jury in the murder trial acquitted Scott's co-accused and best friend, Cornell Burrell, of murder. Scott's father, 53-year-old Oliver Scott, from Hornsey, North London, Celia Bruce Annon, 50, from Stanmore, Northwest London, and Christopher Hatton, 44, were all convicted of perverting the course of justice. Susan John, Scott's 40-year-old partner, who is from Mitcham, South London, and who is a solicitor working in the area of criminal law, was cleared of conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. His half-brother, Paris Bell McKay, 28, from Southwest London, was also cleared. Those convicted will be sentenced together on February 3. Government to remove zinc fencing in Hardware Lane in Portmore. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says steps will be taken to remove zinc fencing in Hardware Lane in the community of Newland in Portmore, St. Catherine, as part of the transformation of the area. Holness, who visited the area yesterday, said discussions are to be held on the matter. As I enter the community, I noticed the zinc fences and I don't like zinc fence, so I'm going to have dialogue with your Member of Parliament to properly fence the place, Holness said. The area is represented by Orlando Terrelong. Holness further stated that unplanned communities cannot continue and that plans are afoot to address the problem. Regarding the removal of zinc fences in the community, the announcement was met with support from residents and the police. The building of proper concrete fencing to replace the zinc is welcomed by the police as it will give proper structure to the community, said Acting Commanding Officer for the St. Catherine South Police Division, Upton Nicholson. Oftentimes you cannot find an address. It will help to have gates numbered, and it can also protect lives as it is very risky to carry out duties in the current condition, he added. Several community members said that the change would ease the eyesore of sheets of rusty zinc being used as fencing. I do believe that it brings hope to the holistic development of this community, Markland Edwards said. The announcement makes the community feel bright already. It brings hope as these residents can't do it by themselves, he said. Real Cobre fisher folk displeased with fish kill compensation. Fisher folk and small business operators who were affected by last July's major fish kill in the Rio Cobre have expressed disappointment with the compensation package they received Wednesday and vowed to seek legal action. The payouts, according to the affected parties, were far lower than what they had submitted in claims to the National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, for approval. Representatives from NEPA handed out 120 checks, each valued at just over $131,000, in a closed-door session at the Bogwalk Seventh-day Adventist Church on Wednesday. Oscar Hart, who has made a living from fishing in the Rio Kobe for 47 years, said that the sum he received was inadequate. Stakeholders were prohibited from fishing for days until technical officials ruled the water safe. "This can't help me. The amount of suffering I got through since last year up until now is rough," said Hart, who was resolved to reinvest the funds in goat farming. "If they had restarted the river with fish that them promised, things wouldn't be so bad. This is a drop in the bucket," said Wilton Nesbeth, who has made his livelihood from the river for many years. Nesbeth said he transitioned into farming after the fish kill, but intends to use the funds to purchase mesh wire to make fish traps. He is hopeful that the fish stock will be replenished. NEPA served notice of intention to suspend the environmental license granted to bauxite company UC Rusal over the fish kill. UC Rusal reported on July 30 that effluent at its Yorton plant in St. Catherine overflowed into waterways. Christopher Thompson, another stakeholder, said he has been longing for the compensation. However, he too was disappointed about the amount dispensed. "This is not enough. I'm not really satisfied because I never recovered from the one them before," he disclosed, while lamenting the failure of NEPA to restock the river with fish. NEPA recommended $57.2 million in compensation to the affected fisher folk, but only $16 million was approved by the government. The sum was calculated using the average daily catch of each species of fish, and the number of fishermen were estimated to be in the area. The government drew down on Windalco's environmental performance bond of $771,000 following the spillage of effluent. Opposition leader Mark Golding, who told the air in the aftermath of the fish kill, had promised to help with restocking the river with fish, but this has not been forthcoming. Golding said that he had contacted NEPA and requested a time frame for his donors to deliver the fish, but was told by the agency that they were awaiting cabinet approval. In the meantime, the opposition leader is questioning the justification for treating the fishermen less favorably than other agencies such as NEPA and the National Irrigation Commission (NIC). The fisherfolk suffered the biggest reduction in percentage terms, and they are only getting 28%, while NEPA and the